Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato. And today we're going to be reading an article and providing commentary on an article from the Daily Caller. And this is on how the Army plans to overhaul recruiting after missing its goal again. So as I'm sure most of you are aware, if you are watching this channel, the United States military has had an increasing trouble getting people to join their military. A lot of their recruits tend to be from families that have previously served in the United States military. However, prior military members are now telling their family members to never join the United States military. It's hostile towards United States military people's families. They think it's not a benefit to the United States people. And so United States military recruitment is declining. And I've actually even seen some evidence that the United States military is potentially planning on bringing back a draft. So I'm an old person now, so I don't have to worry about that as much. And I also live in the Philippines now, so that's unfortunate for Gen Z and I guess maybe younger millennials. But for me, it's just something, I guess, tragic that I have to see that a draft might be coming back, because it's pretty self-evident at this point that either United States is going to collapse or World War III is going to be occurring this decade. Okay, so on to the article, and this is by Michaela Burrow. The Army will undertake major overhauls to its recruiting force after it likely missed its recruiting goals for fiscal year 2023, which ended September 30th by about 10,000 recruits, top officials said at a press conference Tuesday. Okay, so let's see how meaningful that 10,000 is. For the second year in a row, the Army missed active duty recruiting objectives by thousands, achieving in 2023 about 55,000 of its 65,000 troop goal. Okay, so that's actually a huge deficit of what its troop goal is. And that's actually with the United States military lowering its standards to get people to join the military. So the fact that it's still having trouble meeting its goal should be pretty shocking to anyone who is reading this. Army Secretary Christine Wormuth said, according to a news release. The reforms unveiled Tuesday come from a study of the past 25 years of Army recruiting and focus on making the Army more competitive against the private sector. But it could be years before they are fully realized, according to Military Times. So, okay, so if it's going to take years, it's probably not going to be overly helpful for World War III, which is, I think, occurring pretty soon. And I don't think people are going to be particularly gung-ho about joining World War III whenever it does end up happening. So the recruitment problems are going to be occurring, I believe, for many years to come. What we're doing is really focus on changing what we can control and seizing our own destiny, Wormuth said. Okay, so that's just fluff without any actual meaning there. The Army reached an end strength of 485,000 active duty troops in 2021, but it finished out 2023, so 2 years later, with the smallest full-time force since before World War II at just 452,000. According to Military Times. Okay, so geez, they've smallest full-time force since before World War II. Okay, so the United States is absolutely gutted at this point. There's a few countries right now that have 1 million-person militaries, armies, and so the fact that the United States can't even get 500,000 should tell you that the United States is in dire straits at this point. In addition, it only met that end strength objective by delving into what's called the delayed entry pool, which are recruits still in high school who signed contracts to ship out in 2024. Wow. Okay, so they have to brainwash people in high school to join the year later in order to get them to actually get into the military. Okay, so this should be very concerning for anyone who actually likes the United States military, which at this point is apparently no one, because no one wants to join. One change increases the access of the U.S. Army Recruiting Command to the Army's Pentagon headquarters and places a 3-star general in charge instead of a 2-star. Okay, so that means almost nothing, really. 3-star general versus 2-star general. So unfortunate reality in the United States military is it's not really based on competence. The more stars you have, it's really mostly dependent on, are you a good, do you toe the party line? Do you do what the politicians say? If you do, then you rise in the ranks. And so actually people of higher rank in the United States military care less about the average person in the military. They are really just political appointees. Another reform involves refocusing recruiting efforts on Americans in college or who have already entered the job market, the Army said. Today, about 80% of new recruits enter straight from high school, but the Army wants at least 30% of new soldiers to have more than a high school degree by 2028 to compensate for the shrinking workforce of non-college educated young people. So are there any people in college who would really want to join, aside from like to get the benefits for tuition coverage? I mean, who really wants to join the United States military at the point? The right doesn't like the United States military anymore because the United States military is enforcing a government that actually actively hates right-wing people. And the left doesn't like the United States military because of it enforcing colonialism and exploitation of minority populations all across the world. And so at this point, if the right and left doesn't like the United States military, who's their recruiting base at this point? I have no idea, really. Please, in the comment section, let me know who the recruiting base is for the United States military, because I'm pretty clueless at this point. I mean, given how many LGBT flags that the United States military flies at this point, I would assume that's their recruitment base. Okay, so they go on to say, we're going to train recruiters to start using digital job boards. We're going to start piloting large-scale career fairs in major population centers. Instead of just having a table in a high school cafeteria, we're really going to try to do something more like private sector companies do. Okay, the Army's inability to meet recruiting goals stems from longer-term trends. Warmoth and Army Chief of Staff Randy George noted, according to Military Times, the service has failed to meet actual contract goals since 2014. Okay, so this decline has been happening for many years, further dwindling the delayed entry pool and placing more strain on recruiters to surge end-of-year recruiting numbers through willpower rather than efficient practices. Okay, so lowering the standards to get people into the military. It also hopes to develop a specialized long-term recruiting workforce and rely less heavily on soldiers for mandatory recruiting assignments. Okay, I agree with it. So I'm in industrial and organizational psychology, and so we understand things like personnel selection, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense to have, say, the military soldiers doing a lot of the recruitment responsibilities. I mean, it's like having the engineers do a lot of the recruiting responsibilities. You need people who actually understand personnel selection practices to be doing the recruitment to a large extent. That means establishing career fields for enlisted personnel and warrant officers in recruiting. Okay, so that's my field. They want people trained in IO psychology. Warmoth and George also discussed setting up an experimentation team and constructing an evidence-based way to measure the effect of different policy initiatives, noting the study found the Army has failed historically to measure the success of recruiting policy changes in a reliable way. Okay, so we talk about this all the time as IO psychologists. We're always going to have jobs because of the fact that organizations do a terrible job of all of their different policies and practices. They're not very methodical in things. And you can see here that the United States military is the exact same way, where they're not even doing a good job of keeping track of if their changes actually benefit the organization as a whole. So just concerning things going on there. And they're going to need IO psychologists to help fix that. Not this IO psychologist, by the way. I can't stand the United States government or United States military, so no way would I do consulting projects for them. Some steps the Army has taken so far appear to be successful, like the Army's Future Soldier Prep Course, a program which provides academic tutoring or physical fitness training for prospective soldiers who don't quite meet entrance standards. That program has graduated nearly 9,000 Army recruits since implementation in August 2022. Okay, that's pretty impressive. Okay, so that's the end of the article there. And so, yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect, given the fact that the United States military is not working to the benefit of the United States people anymore. Who would really want to join that? I can't think of an argument for liberals, conservatives, right wing, left wing. I mean, who at this point really thinks the United States Army is doing a good job? The conflicts that the United States military is getting involved in have nothing to do with the United States, Ukraine. The Israeli conflict. I'm still wondering, and I've asked this in a number of videos, what makes Israel United States' greatest ally that means that United States military personnel have to go over and serve and fight for Israel? Because I've not seen a single incident where Israel has been a direct benefit to the United States. It's always been the United States helping Israel out. So that's the situation. That's the many reasons that people do not want to join the United States military. It just does not benefit the United States. It does not benefit the United States citizenry. It certainly benefits the oligarchs in charge of the United States, but why would you want to go help them out. They're already exceedingly rich. They can buy their own defense forces, private military companies if they want. So anyways, that is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel on both YouTube and Rumble. We are getting suppressed in the algorithm on YouTube, and so we're moving more and more towards Rumble. And actually, if numbers get high enough on Rumble, I might just quit streaming on YouTube altogether because of the fact that there are certain topics I cannot talk about on YouTube, and I would like to have more freedom to talk about those topics. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or critiques, please leave them in the comment box below. I read all of them, and I will respond if necessary. And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.